In the wake of the Boston Jihad bombing yesterday, with the jihadis apprehended, last night on Bill Maher, they did a segment on Pamela Geller as an Islamophobe. In the wake of a jihad bombing, the worst terror attack on American soil, arguably since 9/11, you could say since Fort Hood, the media is in a furious spin. I don't know if you've seen the Time magazine piece about these sweet boys, these misunderstood boys, went to private school, got scholarship to Cambridge, the best of everything. Why? Why did they do it? The media is in furious spin mode. We are at war. We are at war in the information battle space. And all the bullets and the bombs and the bloodshed are a result of what happens in that war. Boston was a war zone. You had the military in the streets in Boston. People, 1 million people, had to stay in their homes. Did you see Boston? It was a ghost town. That's your future. Don't think for 1 second that this is an anomaly. It is shocking, the societal self-destruction we're witnessing. It's breathtaking. The media is self-enforcing the Sharia under Islamic law. That's what Sharia is, Islamic law. You cannot defame or criticize Islam, even if it's true. And the media self-enforces it. Now, in Muslim countries, if you blaspheme, that's what it is, blasphemy, they put you to death. Here in America, they assassinate your character. They destroy the person so that the message can't get out there. And this is why I congratulate Matt for doing an incredible event like this. Obama says that this, whatever the motive was, you're the President of the United States, you don't know what the motive is? Whatever the motive is, it will not prevail. But Mr. President, you've made sure that it's prevailed. Mr. President, you have enabled and empowered this ideology in Afghanistan, which is why green on blue attacks have escalated to the point where we have to bring our boys and girls home. We're pursuing a delusional policy, a fantasist policy in Afghanistan. We have emboldened and enabled and partnered with the Taliban. Fort Hood was workplace violence. The Fort Hood jihadi was wearing the garb of the Shaheed on the morning of his jihad. He was giving out Qurans on the morning of his jihad. He was screaming Allahu Akbar, which means Allah is greater. Greater than what? Greater than your God. On the morning of his jihad. And Obama stands up in front of the United Nations and says the future does not belong to anyone who slanders the prophet. It's not my prophet, by the way. These are very scary times because they are disarming the American people. You are being disarmed. And this is a war. This is a long and brutal war. And myself and my colleagues, the few that dare to speak about this, because they destroy you. They destroy your name. You would think that after Boston, they might step back and say, hey, maybe we got this wrong. Seriously. It's all over his web pages, his social network. Jihad is the duty of every Muslim. He had everything. He was a citizen. He had a new car. He had scholarship, everything. So what could it be? It's the ideology. And the knee-jerk concern is anti-Muslim backlash. The imaginary anti-Muslim backlash that we're always hearing about. We heard about it after 9/11 too. Why isn't the immediate response in the Muslim community? We have to address the violent texts that inspire jihad. Why isn't the immediate response in the Muslim community? We have to stand with people like Pamela Geller and Robert Spencer and Wafa Sultan and Ibn Ward and fight and condemn the violent texts, the violent ideology that commands jihad. No, That's never the response, ever. There is no introspection, there is no reflection, and by the way, it's not just here. You see what happened when Obama abandoned Mubarak, a secular government in Egypt, for what? Why? To install the Muslim Brotherhood? And that's exactly what he did, and that was not an accident. All of us that were writing about it at the time were wildly derided for saying, this is not a freedom revolution. This is a Muslim Brotherhood revolution. I mean, the only real freedom revolution was in Iran in 2009, in June, July, because they've been living under the boot of the Sharia since 1979. They were holding up signs. Obama, you're either with us or against us. And also, we apologize for 1979. They said that too. He ignored it. How would you know that was a freedom revolution? Because it was led by women. Women with lipstick and eyeliner and hijab, so what? Live and let live. He ignored it. We watched, those of us that were live blogging it, and I live blog it all summer, we watched women getting mowed down in the street. The women in these other freedom revolutions, when they show up, get gang raped. And our reporters too. That's okay, nobody talks, media doesn't talk about that. That Lara Logan story came out way under the radar. They sacrificed their own. And here in America, we're sacrificing our own. We've abandoned this culture of life. We've abandoned that life is so dear. The jihadists in Boston targeted women and children and families like they did in Beslan. Beslan was jihad, and in my opinion, one of the worst jihadi attacks in the modern era. Hundreds of children taken, and I'm in a church, and I will not discuss what they did to those children, but you cannot imagine it in your worst nightmare. You cannot. Hidden by the media. Why? Why are we covering for the most radical and brutal ideology on the face of the earth? This is the war. Everyone wants to talk about the economy. Everybody wants to talk about everything else. All of those things don't mean a thing if you ain't got your head. I'm sure you're aware of some of the adverse publicity that many of my ads that I've been running across the country have garnered. I want you to understand that these ads that I run were a response to fallacious, libelous, and in many times a blood libel, in one case against Israel. They've been running ads against Israel across the country, hundreds and hundreds of campaigns. Nobody says anything. And USA to Israel, implying in the ad that USA to Israel is an impediment to peace, when in fact USA to Israel is an impediment to the annihilation of Israel. They've run libelous maps. Now there's ads calling Israel an apartheid state. So as you know, I did these ads. In any war between the civilized man and the savage, support the civilized man. Support Israel, defeat jihad. I'm selling these in the lobby. Everyone went nuts on the word savage. Any war on innocent civilians is savagery. What is interesting, I also did this campaign, same thing, but support Israel, I had support the Coptic Christians, I did one, support the Nigerian Christians, another, support the Hindus, another, support the Buddhists in Thailand, another. Nobody talked about that. This is the one, Israel made them crazy. That's telling as well, too. But the point I'm trying to make is that I will not abridge my free speech so as not to offend savages. Boston was savagery. 9/11 was savagery. Fort Hood was savagery. London 7/7 bombing was savagery. Madrid 3/11 was savagery. Bali was savagery. The war on the Jews in Israel is savagery. They're targeting innocent civilians. Now, this became a worldwide story, and of course, I was the object of scorn and derision. I don't even care about it anymore. I think I've started to come to enjoy it, which is really crazy. But I realize I'm effective, and this is why they have to destroy me. And so this garnered so much publicity, and yet you got to discuss jihad. Not in it, clearly it's hostile, but war is hostile. I can't complain. You can't whine about, oh, it's not fair, the media's not fair. War's not fair. You got to explain to the American people about jihad. This is the purpose of the campaigns that we do. Now, this Israeli apartheid ad came up. Israel is apartheid state. So, just so that you know, next week these ads will be going up in New York on the subways, metro, and on dioramas in DC, that I have a campaign called This is Islamic Apartheid. It's a series showing a woman being whipped because she didn't marry her rapist. We have gays being hung. We refer to the 900,000 Jews that were exiled out of Muslim lands after 1948. We have the Palestinian, and I use that in quotes because there's no such thing, flag that was waving during the Intifada that said, on Saturday we kill the Jews and on Sunday we kill the Christians. I have a picture of a child whose legs are shackled, because I don't think people know that in Mauritania, 20% of the population is enslaved by the Muslims. It's black slavery. Where's Sharpton? Where's Sharpton on Mauritania? Where's Jackson? People don't know about this, and this campaign will be going up. Every ad that I've ever done was a response to the disinformation that's put out there to disarm the American people and render you completely unarmed and susceptible. And it's up to you. You know, you're here today, which speaks volumes about you. You know, this is a calling for me. I'm here because I have to be here. I'm here because I want my children to grow up in a country that I grew up in. I'm here because I love my freedom. I love my freedom. I love my freedom. I love my freedom. And they ain't taking it away from me. It's not going to happen. And how many times have I had to sue to get my ads up? They can run anything they want. But I had to take New York City to court to run these ads. It took a year. And not only did the judge clearly sided with me, but it was an unparalleled victory because it wasn't just a narrow victory. He threw out all the rules and regulations of the New York City MTA as unconstitutional. You have to fight. Yes, that was a big one. It may appear to be overwhelming, but it's not. Even when you have the president against you, Mayor Bloomberg against you, and the whole media, for example, wanting to build, let's say, the Ground Zero Mosque. You helped stop that mosque. You helped stop that mosque. Tens of thousands came down to Ground Zero at our rallies. You stopped that mosque. And you can stop this too. You can stop the Islamization of the school curriculums. I'm sure many of you know exactly what I'm talking about. The mosquing of the workplace, forcing non-Muslim workers to lengthen their day to accommodate Muslim prayer time. Mind you, they don't do that in Muslim countries. They make it up before and after. So why do it here? It's a way of imposing Islam. Now, you could say, well, you know, you're anti-Islam. Look, I don't care if you worship a stone. Just don't stone me with it. That's where I'm at. So, in closing, I want to say, when people say, oh, what can I do? This is such a big problem. I don't know why people approach it this way. Like they think they have to solve the whole problem of the world. It's like a doctor with an epidemic. Does he feel he has to cure everybody? No. You treat who you can reach. You have to first learn everything and speak. You have a sphere of influence. You go to church, you go to tennis, you go to golf. I don't know what people do, I just work. But you have a sphere of influence. You hear things during the day that you know are wrong. Speak. You know, I'm Jewish, and it is our mission, the Yehudim, the children of Israel, to speak the truth. This is the mission. And I believe that we're right and we're righteous, and we're going to win. We are. Trust me. Nobody was laying odds on David either. And he won. Thank you. Thank you very much.